Hey guys, welcome back to Tuesday, where I talk to you about things that are on my heart or in my brain or somebody mentioned at the gym, and I thought I should probably talk about that. So here at this podcast, CrossFit Garage podcast, I want to help you build a strong foundation for life in fitness, food, and finances. Right now, we're going to actually focus on food. And one day I'll come up with a better name for the podcast, but right now, CrossFit Garage, because that's primarily who's listening to this. And if you're into health and fitness, then this is the place for you, even if you're not here local in Woodstock, Georgia. I am Andy McCann, the owner of the gym, as well as other entrepreneurial businesses, and some that are still around and some that have gone by the wayside. So one thing that I have become recently is I'm not going to say farmer, because I feel like a farmer, that's like degrading who they are. I'm a guy with chickens and a couple ducks. So we're going to talk about food and the things you can do to take some steps towards eating better food or higher quality, or as I guess maybe Glassman said it, but knowing the source of where your food comes from. Okay, so the easy steps are going to be, taking control of your own food. Don't eat at fast food places. So if you're eating at fast food places, the first thing to do is just stop eating there. Take it in steps. So I'm not going to say go from fast foods to have your own chickens and eat the eggs right out of the rear end, right? It's first easy step. Easy step is stop eating at fast foods. If you like the chicken, egg, and cheese biscuit, then make your own chicken, egg, and cheese biscuits and then warm them up later on, right? So if you're hitting fast food, the first thing is stop eating there. That's the best health advice I could give you. Then, I know it hurts my heart. My family loves Chick-fil-A, and sometimes entertainment is fine. And yeah, I know God made Chick-fil-A, but Chick-fil-A has a drive-through, therefore it's fast food. So chill out on the fast food. All right, so next one. If you're going to up your game and you already don't do the fast food, or you're limiting that, a next step would be eat at the edges of the store. So not going to go into both of those, just, eat at the edges. That's going to be your produce and your meats and so forth. Eat on the edges, or not eat, I guess, shop. They'd be a little mad at you if you started eating on the edges of the store. And the next one is going to be, if you can unwrap it and it's good for another week, it's probably not even food anyway, so don't eat it. Okay, so now on to the meat of the subject, pun intended, because we're going to talk about having chickens in your own backyard, and maybe even eating those chickens, right? So the first step in gaining control is knowing the source from where your food came from. So the best place that you can know the source of your food is you. You should grow it. And if you're like me, I really hate gardening, so I just don't do it. Jordan came over and helped me do some gardening, and he did a great job, and I enjoyed watching him, and Jamie and I just chatted while he did a lot of work. I did learn a lot of stuff, but I still don't think I'm into gardening. It just doesn't interest me, and I kill everything. So I'm doing the easy stuff, and here's the easy things for you. I have some tomatoes growing in my backyard, and they just do just fine without me doing anything. So every once in a while, I will go over there and pull some weeds. But beyond that, I take the blower and, the air blower, I don't know what you call it. And you blow out, I'll blow leaves out of them so that, they can still get sunlight. Jordan came over and helped me plant some peas. And so we just picked those peas and ate some the other day. That was great. Another easy one is a tomato plant. So these things you could actually do in a pot in your house, right? Just put a tomato or some seeds okay, growing from a seed is actually kind of tricky. Let me back that up. Go to some place like this potpourri garden down the street from me and buy or what do they call it? Potpourri Farms and Garden, and buy a plant that he has already started. So he did the hard work of getting it going. You just buy it, put it in a pot, and you'll have a tomato plant in your house, and you can eat those tomatoes. So grow something. Peas, squash, tomatoes, super easy, especially here in the South. Do that. If you don't want to grow anything, well, take a step, grow something, see what happens. Even if you just throw some seeds out. Go to, place that's going to have seeds, Home Depot, whatever. Buy some organic seeds, throw them out there and see if they grow. Sometimes the volunteers do the best. So they're just going to either seed themselves or grow in the wild. And you'll be like, wow, I can't grow things, but these things grew great. Awesome. Take some, honeysuckle. That's not really something you can eat much, but throw it out there. It'll do just fine. Or if you get them blackberry seeds, right? Throw those out there. They're going to get some stickers, but you'll get blackberry, and it's going to be really good. Blueberries work well, but you kind of have to do some stuff with that. So I would go easy and just get a pot and put a tomato plant in it and see if you can make that thing grow. It should do just fine on its own, especially if you kept it somewhere that you're going to see every day. So put it by your front door, right? Or outside the kitchen where you could grab some water and water it. So first is grow your own food, grow something. Know the second, or the principle is know the source of your food. First is growing it. Next would be eat close. So what does that mean? If you got local farms like this Potpourri Farm and Garden, buy from them, right? Or if there's a guy selling chicken eggs or chickens or anything, buy local. Hopefully you can trust those people. If you don't know them, then you can read some reviews or just ask people. Like you can get on Facebook and go to the chicken forum, and it's a Cherokee chicken people or something like that, and ask him, hey, is this guy reputable? Has anybody bought from him? Or there's the North Georgia livestock group, and you can get in there and say, hey, has anybody bought, a turkey from him from Thanksgiving? Yeah, I know. That means you have to harvest your own turkey. So maybe that's a skill you want to learn. Sometimes you can pay them to process it, but eat local. There's on the way to Avery Elementary, I think that's the road, you can, there's a sign up that somebody is selling their own, Cherokee grown cattle, right? So you can buy half a cow or a whole cow or whatever. So if you're a hunter or have a friend that's a hunter, ask them for their deer. Like, hey, you shot one. I'm sure you don't want tons and tons of deer. How about I pay you for some of that? So actually, I think it's illegal to sell deer, so you probably can't pay them for it, but you could donate to their grocery bill somehow. I don't know. You can come up with your own thing, but eat local and then buy from people that are local. Support them. So I have eggs that are probably $20 an egg. So yeah, it stinks trying to grow them correctly. I'm going to talk to you about how to actually do your own chickens and do them a little bit better than I do them. So we'll get into that. But a lot of the stuff that I have gotten through the years comes from this guy on this Jack Spirko on the Survival Podcast. So go there, listen. He's about life design and building resiliency into your life. And I've been listening to him since the gym has been open. So that's about 15, 16 years. And he's got great information on all of these topics, how to grow your own food, etc. So great resource. You can also go to my YouTube channel. Weirdly, it's just called Andy McCann, or you can look for it at, I guess it's going to be at Andy McCann 42, and you can find stuff there. So I've got a Chickens for Beginners video that's got something like, what does it say, 21,000 views. So I don't know, people liked it. You can watch it and see what you can do for chickens. There's a lot of good advice in there. I'm going to give you some tidbits for what you can do, but I'm mostly going to talk to you about how the chickens would work on your own property and what that might look like for you. So anyway, grow your own stuff. Eat local, buy from farms that are near you, or find the next, like a state away farm. So if you're going to order some food in, so we actually will get a butcher's box, but that comes from Australia. So at least I think they're headquartered out of Australia. So probably better to buy somewhere local. Like there is the White Oaks Regenerative Farm in Bluffton, Georgia, that you can buy from. So I don't know if they're shipping yet. You might have to go down there and pick it up, but you could go down there with a U-Haul and pick up half a cow, and then a half a cow will fit basically in an empty refrigerator, like a full refrigerator, not a side-by-side. So a half cow will go into an empty full refrigerator. So that'll kind of give you an idea of what kind of space you need. Let's see. I said refrigerator, I mean freezer. You can get the chest type freezers. Those are good. They're usually a little bit cheaper. I don't like using that because I tend to put stuff on the bottom and then I never get back to it. So I could potentially have some really old meat at the very bottom. I like the stand-up freezers because you can put them on levels and you can reach in and clear out an entire level and then just work your way down. And it's a little bit easier to get to that food. Okay, so buy from somebody close. I think there's a list that I did an email on. I can try to go find that, link it back, on people that are close to us that do sell. You can go to a farmer's market and then just ask them, like, hey, I think there's one in Woodstock every other Saturday or something. So I'll go look that up. The next is just, buy it from them. So if you see chicken eggs for sale, or like at Ancient Awakenings, they sell eggs by the box. You could just buy them, and now they're coming from somebody who had chickens on their property, which are probably going to be healthier than the eggs that you find at the store just by leaps and bounds. Now, I'm going to tell you what we do. I'm not saying you should do all this. I'm going to give you some options, but this is what's going to happen on our farm. Okay, so the next thing is eat for function, not for fun. So if you're like, I really love eating, okay, so that's going to be a problem for you in your nutrition journey. I think in Greg Glassman's Fitness in 100 Words, his thing was eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruits, little starch, no sugar. And this is important. Keep intake to the level that supports exercise, but not body fat. And that is a tricky part. How do I eat and have fun but not push it down to body fat. So the fun part, you're kind of like pushing the body fat. I have a podcast. You can go look it up, or maybe I'll link it here. It's on how to stop consuming sugar. And the secret is when you have the desire to satiate it with something else, punch it in the face. Like, hey, I want to eat sugar, eat an olive instead. I want sugar, eat a dill pickle. Hey, I want sugar, eat something with garlic in it, right? So start changing the desires of your tongue and those associations. Okay. So we talked, whoops, I just messed up my own notes. So grow yourself, garden. So gardening wasn't for me. I tried to garden for a very long time. I am down to growing like one or two things and asking for help. I'm not ashamed to say I really stink at it and I hate it. So somebody help me. Again, just grab a bucket, put something in it, make it easy. Don't start it from seeds. That is really tough, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Just go buy a pre-started plant, and tomatoes are pretty much the easiest, right? So go do that. All right. So on our little tiny teeny farm, we've got chickens and ducks. I would like to get rid of the ducks because ducks take too much effort. Chickens are almost like cats where they can kind of do their own thing and they don't need many inputs. So what we do the chickens for primarily is the eggs. And so on the eggs, weirdly, when a chicken drops out an egg, so this is weird too. So there's only one exit on a hen, and so everything comes out of it, the pee, poo, and a egg. So yeah, it gets a little dirty sometimes, but if you clean them off, you're going to take off this coating that's on the egg. So the egg has a coating on it, which lets it last for like 2 to 3 months just sitting out. As long as you keep it in a place that's kind of like dark and cool, it's going to last for a very long time. So not only have I eaten 2-month-old eggs, I've actually incubated 2-month-old eggs, and I am totally fine, still alive. And the chickens actually grew out of that. So all of our eggs are fertilized because we have roosters out there, and roosters really do two things, and that is sort of protect the flock, and then they mate. Okay, so weirdly, the shelf life of an egg, if you don't wash it and clean it off, is pretty long. You'll see me as soon as I get my flock back up with numbers. I will be putting eggs out for, you can buy them you can donate to the farm. Know that every egg costs like $20. So a dozen eggs is like $100 according to how I do it. You do not have to pay me $100, but if you want to donate big, I certainly appreciate it. And I'm going to tell you why that is. So to get an egg the way I want it, I want something that is not living on GMO food, doesn't have soy in it, has a pretty decent life. So it's out there free ranging, and it gets to choose what it wants to eat, mostly insects. And I do make them food, and I go to Breadbreakers to buy grain that's for humans, and then I use that for them, and I'll explain that a little bit more. But actually, I should put a note in there to explain my feed. Okay, that is noted, and I will make sure I talk about that. Okay, so I have, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I've got my YouTube video up of my chicken flock, and let me see if I can find a good picture of the coop. I think it's probably way too close. Well, actually, there's a good picture of the omelet door that I use, but we're going to go through coops as well. Okay, so back on the eggs, you will notice a quality difference and a darkness or color differentiation to the yolk based on what the chickens are eating. So if they're eating more insects, then you're going to see a deeper yellow to the yolk, and that's going to have more nutrition for you. So there is something to be said about, like, I eat 2 raw eggs in my smoothie every morning, and I have never gotten salmonella poisoning from my eggs, and I do wash them before I use them. Sometimes I don't, and sometimes egg does get into the blender, but the Vitamix will blend up your cell phone, so it's going to have an easy time with eggshell. Anyway, so they last for a long time. You can eat them raw. There is a big difference in a free-range egg versus a feed egg. The cost per egg for me is gargantuan, but I'm getting the one thing that I want, which is the most super egg meant to be the way it was meant to be. So there's nothing in it. So if you want those type of eggs, they'll show up at the gym eventually. And if you want to, donate for them, yay. And if you want to really make sure you get them, you can tell me ahead of time, and I will just put your name on it. You can donate bigger if you want to, but they do cost me a lot, and I'll get to why. It's mostly due to predators, but yeah, we'll get there. So you could also use these birds for meat. We have eaten the chickens. So roosters don't make eggs. Well, they don't make the eggs, they do fertilize them, but you don't need as many roosters. Usually it's 1 rooster for every 10 hens to keep everybody healthy and satisfied and not torn up, because the roosters are pretty dang aggressive with their talons and can hurt the hens a lot. So you want to keep the ratio down. Anyway, so we'll take those roosters and I will process them, and we have eaten them, and everyone says, Dad, they're pretty chewy. This isn't very good. I don't really like this. So I have to come up with another way to either soften up the meat some more. But what I'm doing right now when I process the roosters is I will cut them up, cook them, and then give them to the dogs. So the dogs are getting some really good food instead of just always having the dog food or scraps or whatever. So they're getting some pretty good nutrition out of these roosters. So I think, I want to treat my dogs right. I want them to not develop cysts and all that. So let's give them some more natural food. Yes, I would love it if my family ate it, but they don't like the toughness of the free-range chicken. Now, we did get a hold of some meat birds. These birds have been crossed with other birds so that they will actually generate more meat than normal. And what this typically means is you have to put food around them, and they're going to be like, ooh, this is yummy. And they'll just gorge themselves, and that will create a whole lot more mass of meat or muscle. And you usually only let them live to about 16 weeks and then you harvest them because they're getting grotesquely overweight and meaty, muscly. So I took some from a friend because when they ordered, they got extra. That's actually Kelly Teresi's mom, so she's in the gym. And her mom gave us some chickens, and I've got them living with the current batch of chicks that I have incubated, and they're just running around like normal. So I'm thinking possibly because I have them outside in a coop running around, they may not get disgusting with their size of their meats and stuff, so that maybe they'll live and maybe they'll breed in with my chickens. We'll see. I've heard that they're really ugly looking because of all the crossing, so I'll figure that out too. I'll give you guys a video on that when they eventually make it to that stage. So anyway, I do have meat birds. They're doing fine. We're going to have an experiment and see what happens. Now, on the birds, so chickens are pretty cool. You can call them in. You can train them. Say, hey, chicks, and they'll all start running because I also feed them. So they know, hey, the guy who yells stuff also gives us fun food, so yay. And what is that food? I've got 3 things they can eat. 4 things. One is nature. There's insects out there. They roam everywhere, and so they will go and eat whatever they want. The other is food scraps, so I'll throw all types of food out there. If they don't eat it, the bugs will come, and if the bugs come, they eat the bugs, so that works really well. The next is I do buy food from Tractor Supply. I shy away from the normal, and I get the more expensive organic, and I make sure that it doesn't have any sort of things that I don't want in it. So that is the safety net. I don't typically feed that to them. It's just if I'm going to be gone and I want to make sure they've got food around, I've got that just in case. But primarily they're eating the insects. And then the other thing I do is I go to Breadbeckers and I buy human grade grains. And there's 3 or 4 types of grains, some oats, corn, and organic corn, and not birdseed, sunflower. So I got the sunflower seed. So I take a scoop of each of those, put it into a bucket, take the bucket outside, fill it up with water, let it sit for 3 days. It'll start to ferment. So now I've got some fermentation in the food as well. And they love that. I can tell when they're hungry. Usually through the winter, there's not as many insects to eat. So when I put that line of feed out, they go to town. In the spring and summer, they usually don't care as much because they're able to go out and eat all sorts of insects. Now, I guess this is interesting. If you don't want to pay for pest control around your house, just get some chickens and let them live around your house because they will eat everything and they will keep some of your weeds down too. So the ducks are good for the weeds especially, although like I said, I only have male ducks now, so those ducks, I guess they're going to be a dead duck soon. Okay, so where would you put these guys? On the video, I got a picture of the coop. You guys can go back and watch that video. If you're simply listening, you can't really see what I've got. I've got some other coops that I'm going to pull up too. And actually, let me find where I did that. Okay, so I'm on Tractor Supply's site. I'm just going to talk you through some of the things that I'm looking at. You don't have to go as big as I went. We weren't sure what we were going to do, but I knew I wanted the chickens to become in and out, and I wanted to have a couple of them, so we bought 2 rather large coops. They do have wheels on them, so we could move them around, but I just don't like moving them around. I actually put them on I took some old bricks from when they did some renovations on the house, and I made a foundation, and I put that on the coop on top of the bricks. That way they can stay out of the water. So that'll help your coop last longer. You also, on the coops, you probably, if you're buying one from like a Cherokee Feed and Seed or somebody else that made it, they typically use chicken wire, and chicken wire is easy for predators to get through, not hawks, but like raccoons or coyotes, they can like chew right through that. So you want to put up a stronger mesh wire you can find at Home Depot. It's not really hard. Just buy some, cut it out, and then staple it, and it'll keep them from just ripping straight through. So size-wise, you can buy like one that's the size of a doghouse or maybe 2 doghouses, and that'd be good for 2 chickens. They'll probably do all right. They can live in there, and if they've never known freedom, they're probably going to be just fine. Now, that does mean you're going to have to change the litter box, if you will, out a lot, and that's kind of not my thing. So what we've done is we added some automatic doors to the coop so they can go out in free range. And then they're only sleeping there at night. And when they don't normally poop that much in the coop because they're just there at night. And what we'll do is just throw down another layer of chips. So it's called deep mulching, and just basically says, hey, I'm too lazy. And if I throw some more chips on top, it'll compost, and yay. So I don't have to do it. So there's, my kids say it does smell. I don't think it smells, but there's not very many flies there. We'll see when the summer comes back around. I'm sure there'll be more flies than usual, but the flies are just insects for the chickens to eat. So yay, it's kind of like 2 birds, 1 stone, which is a pun since I'm talking about chickens, I guess. So coop wise, if you're watching this, you can see the different stuff. So they've got a coop with a little bit of a wire, what they call run. So there's the coop is off the ground, and then there's a run where they can get out and kind of poke around. Typically those smaller ones, people are going to either move them around, or they're going to have to clean them out somewhat, because they get the chickens will kill the grass everywhere that they go. So we have a garden area that's no longer a garden area. It's just a walled in chicken prison, I guess. And of course it has a door so they can get out, so it's not prison. But they have worn out all of the stuff that's been trying to grow up. Anytime any green tries to go, the chickens go for it, then the ducks go for it. There's another one you can't see it, but it looks like a batter's cage, and it's just a strong cage that has, it's just the cage, it's just the fencing basically. And they can live in that and they can move around. You still want to give them some cover. I wouldn't do that by itself because they need to get out of the elements, whether it's the sun beating down or the rain, or, it could be super cold, right? When they have their feathers, the cold really isn't a big deal here in Georgia. Then there's another one that's literally about the size of a doghouse, but it's sitting directly on the ground. There's a little hutch off to the side where the chickens would lay eggs. So the hens they know what they like. It's like when you put a litter box down, cats are like, hey, I'd like to poop in that, because that's just, it looks weirdly convenient. So if you put a 1 by 1 by 1 box up that obviously has a hole in it so they can get through it, they will go in there where it's dark and lay an egg, and then they'll walk right back out. Now, if they want to sit on the eggs, that becomes a little bit more of a problem. You need to be able to have a way to get those eggs out. So typically the roof of that section lifts up and you can just grab the egg. So we do this all the time. I've got videos on what I'm doing and how I do it. And then when chickens or hens start to sit on eggs, what I do is take a permanent pen and go around the egg and mark it so that I know that egg is going to stay here. So if they're sitting on 10 eggs, that's probably too many, but not all of them are fertilized. So I'm like, yeah, fine, sit on 10. Let's see what happens. They'll push the eggs that aren't good. So either not fertilized or just maybe the shell got cracked and you don't know it. So they're going to go skank on you. So they've got that rotten egg smell to them, even in the shell. And the chickens somehow know this, I guess, great smell, and they push those eggs away. So just take those eggs. I don't eat them because if they said something's wrong with them and they've been sitting them outside, I don't want to eat them either. So I'll typically just crack them on the ground and then the chickens run over and eat them, which can be dangerous. If the chickens get used to eating eggs, sometimes they will punch eggs just to eat the egg, which is all sorts of weird, but that's what they do. Obviously it came out of their body, so it's got the things that they're missing. And they're like, hey, if I just eat that, won't I get that stuff back? I guess the answer is yes. Anyway, so you can kind of do this with any coop that you want. I know some people keep chickens in their house with diapers on. Hey man, teach their own if that's what you want to do. I suppose it'd be hard for them to lay an egg. Roosters will crow. You can put a throat constrictor on them so they can't crow or cockle-doo or whatever they do. And I've heard that works pretty good. I've never tried it. We've got space, so I just don't care if they crow. The hens are usually pretty quiet unless they're laying an egg. So just imagine pushing an egg out your backside. It, I guess, hurts, and they do it daily. And so they do get loud as they try to push that thing out. Okay, so coop wise, you don't have to go crazy. These coops that I'm looking at here are between $300 and $700. There's various types. I'm looking at one right now that's just got regular wood on it. If I bought a coop that was just the base wood, I would paint over that or spray paint it or something so that wood's got some protection. The wood goes fast, and so they use a lot of 1x1s, and it just doesn't last very long. So, or if they use 2x2? Is that what they I don't know. It's not a 4x4 for sure. So I guess it's a 2x2. And they try to cut corners by using smaller wood, which is great because it makes it light, but bad because, yeah, it's just less wood and it's usually not pressure treated. So you can cheat the system a bit by getting it off the ground and then coating it in something so that it's got protection. It's not too hard to do. I would also stay away, I think I've already said this, from chicken wire, because chicken wire, most predators can get right through, except for hawks. That'd have to be a really aggressive hawk. So Tractor Supply's got some good stuff. If you know anybody local, you can just get on Facebook and kind of poke around. Usually there's somebody that'll build you something. I would always buy local. Just support people that are in the business. So rather than you taking the time to build it, pay someone the 20% fee for them to do it for you. Then it's already done. Okay. So that's a coop. So watch out for the wood. Where do you put it? It's going to be the closer to your house that the smell will allow makes it easier for you to get to. So I'd put it close. But if you were leaving them in there, it does smell, and you got to change out the chips. Now you can save that and create a compost pile, and then you'll have good dirt when maybe spring comes around. So that's something. The size is going to be basically like how many chickens do you want. So there's some charts you can size them, but I would always go for extra room because I don't know, prison sucks. So give them more space. This is why we free range. I just don't want to have birds that are cooped up, pun intended, all day long. So these guys get to go out. The problem with that is they are, the predators are just going to come after them. I'm going to talk about that in a second though. Watch out for the wires. Automation is great. So that door that I mentioned, I think I got a picture of it here. Yeah, this omelet door. So it's omelet, weird, right? So omelet.usa, you can go buy automatic doors. You can buy them from any place, but I like these ones. They've got a couple more options to them. I have it set to go off by how much light is out there. So I don't have to keep going and resetting the time as the sun moves. It just does it because there's an indicator on there. The other thing is you can buy a little LED light that goes on top of you can put above the door. So as it gets to about 10 minutes before the door is going to shut, the light comes on and the birds start to realize, hey, that's my cue to get inside. Plus I think their vision goes down a bit. So that light gives them a nice, follow the blinking light, to get right into the door and go home. So very few times do chickens miss the door. And for those that do miss, I sometimes don't care because they're probably going to be dead anyway. So if they spend the night outside here where we live, the owls will probably get them, or the possums, or somebody's going to get them. So spending the night outside on our little tiny farm is not wise for the chickens. But again, it's survival of the fittest here, and the fit ones live and the decoys don't. So I'll get into what we're doing for predators in a moment. Okay, so my guys are free range, and what does that mean? It means they get to go out and go wherever they want. They could literally fly across the street and go to someone else's yard if they wanted to, but they know that this is where they're protected, and I have fed them here, so they've sort of anchored them to this place. But they can walk around, do whatever they want, scratch wherever they want, and get into anything they want. We do back up onto some land so they can actually go into the woods a bit and, explore. So I have seen them as much as a football field away from their roost, but they usually don't stay out there long. They kind of go in mass, and then they start making the turn and come right back. And the roosters have always got their heads up to see what's going on. So good on those roosters for doing their job. They also, so they're going to tell you that you only have so many birds per square foot for a birdhouse or chicken, a coop. And that's true, especially if they're going to stay in the coop. I have got way too many chickens for the coops that I've got, but they free range. So they're only there to sleep, and they just get up on the roosting bars and they all sleep near each other and nobody cares. And even when I have too many roosters, typically there's a lot of rooster fights if they're all in the coop. But because they have space, it's funny to see the roosters will kind of pick hens and be the dude, whatever, of that little flock. So the whole flock will break up into subflocks, and they all kind of migrate away from each other and do their own thing. And I'm not great at identifying which chicken is which all the time, but sometimes they have unique markings or coloring, and you can tell, these guys all went together every time. Now, weirdly, because we free range and the predators pop or take our chickens all the time, the darker colored ones tend to last the longest. And I think it's because they look like crows, and hawks don't like crows. So maybe that's why they live longer. But I would say 90% of my flock is pretty much just a black chicken. And then sometimes the genes pop out, something that's been around for a while, like all white, or we have a lot of gray with stripes. And then the roosters typically come out looking like the Rhode Island Red, even though I know we didn't have that many of them, but I don't know how genes work, but there it is. So the darker ones tend to last longer. If you're getting a free range and you're going to go buy chickens from Tractor Supply, go ahead and start with dark chickens because they're probably going to last longer. Weirdly, something that I didn't say that I didn't know until I started having chickens is the color of the egg is chosen by the feather color of their ears. So they have ear feathers, and if their ear feathers are brown, the eggs are brown. If their ear feathers are white, then their eggs are white. So I don't know how that goes together, but that seems to be the case. Yeah, little fun fact there. So, okay, so we talked about the, I didn't talk about the feed at all, did I? So let me go back to that one. So I do make my own feed. I go to Breadbuckers and I actually get human quality materials, which is super expensive, but I want my stuff, my chickens, my eggs to eat things that I would eat because I want the egg to be the best egg I can. So my breakfast starts with 2 eggs in the smoothie and, I want it to be good. That's like, protein is big for me, right? So I do also eat a lot of eggs. My typical go-to meal is I'll grab the skillet. I will reheat some sweet potatoes, throw some eggs on top, throw some spinach, some onions, and then put cheese all over it. And then I'm eating that. So eggs make up a lot of what I eat. And I think I'm healthier for it. So I don't go to the doctor. I was going to say very much, but ever. I guess I go to the dentist, and that's a doctor. So I do see them and the dermatologist because the sun, you can't get away from the sun, right? But the normal health doctor, I don't really ever go to. So Dr. Lee across from our old neighborhood in the Woodlands is the guy I still go to, and I see him maybe once every 10 years. So eat healthy, live healthy. It's going to be good for you. All right. So what would you do if you've got a house and you're in a neighborhood and you're like, hey, I want to start with chickens? Well, one, you could just go to a Tractor Supply, buy some dark chickens, and then when you have a rooster, you'll know it'll start crowing and it'll get a comb. Actually, even hens have combs. It's just much bigger comb. Then you want to harvest that or get rid of it or process it or something, right? So I would be happy to take your rooster. Just know that it's not going to last long. So I will harvest it soon, or Mother Nature will, because the predators are, well, they're predators. I skipped a few things I'm going to go back on, and then I'm going to get back into the eggs, but Greg Glassman's Fitness in 100 Words, go check that out. If you buy your own chicken feed from the store, then you really want to take a look at what's in there. So they eat grains, that's fine. But if they're stuffing it with things you don't want to eat, like soy or GMO corn or whatever, then, just read the label. And sometimes when it says organic, it doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. So just take a peek at the label or go online and look. It's not that hard to figure out what's in there. Let's see. I did the coops with you. Okay. Looks like I'm back on track. Oh, okay. Yeah. So predators, and can you shoot a hawk? So coyotes are the worst. When they get one, they get several. Possums will kill everything just because, or raccoons will kill everything because it's fun. And I don't know, that's just what they do. Death is fun to them. So it becomes a game like whack-a-mole, and they'll just rip heads and feet off if they can put their arms through the through your wire mesh, which is why you want to upgrade from chicken wire to something with smaller squares so they can't get their arms through it. We do have the auto door, so sometimes the auto door doesn't work, and that stinks. So if you want to get super fancy, you could actually get a camera that points at the door so that you can just look at your phone and say, hey, is it closed? Or if it's close to your house, which I would recommend, and I would point the door at your house, you can just look out the window and go, yeah, the door's closed. So there are other doors that are probably less jammy, but the omelet does get stuck up. I don't know, maybe one day a month, it doesn't close. So it's not very often. It's usually like it doesn't close 3 days in a row, and that's when I figure it out. So it doesn't close one day a month. It closes perfectly fine all the time, and then 3 days in a row, it probably isn't shutting, and I didn't know it, right? Okay, so don't shoot your hawks. You can shoot coyotes. You can actually get a permit to go shoot a hawk, but man, don't shoot hawks. Just come up with something else. I'm going to tell you what I did to try to get rid of the hawks, and then I'll also talk about the incubators. So why does our eggs cost $20 an egg? February, not this past February, but the one before, I had 3 hens left and 1 rooster because the predators had decimated them. The hawks, the coyotes just came in and ate everything. So I decided to go on a offensive and defensive push against the predators. We put up some netting, which kind of helps, but weirdly birds fly through the woods, and so netting isn't a big deal to them. We put up streamers, that did nothing. We put up shiny things on the ground, that did nothing. We put up scarecrow type things like hawks and or owls, and that did nothing. And I have had noisemakers out there. That does nothing because they live around the Woodstock area. They're like, yeah, we're used to noise, no big deal. So I have shot at coyotes during deer season. They just happen to be walking out. I'm like, well, I'm going to take a pot shot at a coyote. So shooting one coyote and sitting in the woods for 8 hours isn't very effective, but I was out there looking for deer. So, it just happened to work out. So, of course, when you shoot, then everybody knows you're there. So the deer are probably just going to walk away. Anyway, so you can't shoot them, but it doesn't really work that well. So the last thing I came up with was let me outbreed them. So, like I said, I had three hens and one rooster. Then I started on a program of trying to breed or incubate chicks so that I could have decoys or snacks for Mother Nature. So I had about 100, I guess last year, I hatched about 120 chicks and I had 10 hens and one roosters left. So basically the tithe to Mother Nature is 90%. So I've got a picture up here of the incubator I use. It's a Brinsa. It's this one right here. So I guess it's a 56. Actually, it's not a 56. It's a 48, I think, or a 40. But I use this Brinsa one, and everything's automatic. So I love it. Originally, I had the one that is it says it's advanced fully digital, but it's not. It goes in a circle and it kind of rotates them. But there's some stuff you have to do to it. So I didn't like it that much, or as much. And I moved over to this. What do they call it? Ovation. So this one says it's the 56EX fully automatic digital egg incubator. And for the most part, it is fully automatic. You still need to go down and check on it. So things you don't know about the eggs is you have to rotate them or move them. Otherwise, the chick will stick to the egg. And then when it's born, it'll have some sort of weird defect. Either the feathers won't come in or it may not actually grow because it was stuck to the shell. So it may be an unviable chick, right? Or deformed or something. So you have to rock them. So in nature, my hens that sit on eggs will actually get up and go eat, and they'll come back and they'll move everything around and scoot them back together. And sometimes they hot swap hens. So one will be waiting there. When the other gets up to go eat, she'll jump on the eggs, which I don't know if that's normal or they're just waiting. I don't know, but that's what they do. But the eggs get scooted around a bit. So this Brinsa will rock them back and forth every once in a while to keep them from sticking. The other thing that it does is you have to have a certain level of humidity. So they want a temperature of about 100 degrees and a humidity percentage of about 50%. Now, of course, we're in Georgia, so you could probably just get that out in the air. That's why they work here really well with the chicks, or the chickens. But you'll have this guy has an automatic pump to it. So it looks like, imagine a double layer birthday cake. So it's super long and rectangle shaped, probably 1 foot by 2 feet and about 6 inches tall. There's a clear top to it with a motor device right in the middle. So you just take that whole lid off and you can get right to the eggs. The eggs are in this black cradle that stretches from side to side and that cradle's on a rocker. So when the time comes after about 21 days, because chickens take about 23 days to hatch, you take them all out of those rockers and just set them in the Brinsa directly on the yellow floor. That way they're not rocking anymore and they'll rotate themselves to the hatching position they want. But the other thing that's going on is you can't see it, but there is a pump. Let's see if I can pull this up, get a better shot of it. No, you can't really see it. There is a pump on this thing and you can't see it. It's using a motor to twist a pipe that creates a suction that's going to draw water in. So I've got a 1 gallon water jug sitting to the side filled up with water, and it just continually sucks water in as it's needed to keep that 50% humidity. So if you didn't have that, you'd have to touch these things every day, and that's just a pain. So around the 2-week mark, you want to open the lid and then candle all of these. And I got a video on candling. It's basically take a very powerful flashlight and then put a toilet roll carton on top of it and then put the egg on top of that and just move it around. The ones that are almost see-through, there's no bird in there. You could tell immediately. When you put it on there, there's going to be a very white spot where the air pocket is and then a dark spot where the chicken is. And you're like, yeah, there's chicken in there. It's really obvious when you wait 2 weeks. And then if the egg isn't developing by then, just take it out and throw it away or give it to your other chicks, the birds that are outside. because they're not going to hatch anything. If they haven't developed in 2 weeks, they're not fertilized or there's something wrong with them. So I overstuff it. So I'll take the incubator and I'll fill it up. So my Brints of 40, obviously will hatch 40 eggs. I tilt them straight up and down and then load them up with an extra 2 on every row. So I'm going to get another 16 opportunities. I have never had 100% hatch nor 100% be fertilized. So this just gives me the opportunity to say, hey, they're not all fertilized. Let me take those out. And I end up with 40-ish eggs being rotated and hatched. So I can get possibly 40 eggs or 40 chicks out of that. Now, not every chick makes it. So a chick comes out and then it's got like a deformed leg. The nicest thing you can do for that guy is just unfortunately cull it right then. And because I have tried to nurse them into health and they just are misformed. And I don't know why and how it works, but I have never had one come back from a misforming. And they're chicks. So the other chicks are just going to smash them into the ground. I did leave one in there thinking, oh, maybe he'll come out of it. And they sat on him. I guess they were just trying to stay warm, but that, smothered him. So that wasn't very cool. That does hurt the heart too. It was hurtful trying to harvest chicks. I mean, I do eat meat and I'm into it, but harvesting the stuff yourself is painful sometimes. So it does toughen you up and it does teach you a lesson about yourself. And if you can't do it, then don't buy meat, I suppose, right? Everyone should probably process at least 1 chicken. Anyway, back onto the eggs. When you hatch them, I usually let them stay in the incubator for a couple hours so they can stay warm and moist and whatever, and then get their feet under them not figuratively, like literally, they have to learn to walk. And then I'll take them out and I'll put them in a bucket that I have waiting. I got a video on that you can go watch. And the bucket's got chips in it, some food and some water, and a heat lamp. And so they know immediately what to do. It's so funny to see them do this on their own. They don't need a chicken mom, a baby mama. They don't need anything. They just do whatever they need to do. And they know. I do, obviously, like I said, I've got some hens sitting on eggs, and sometimes the chicks, the ones that have made it are really smart. So they learn from their parents or the mom or whatever. But some of them did stupid things and, hold my beer. And they jumped inside the ducks' water trough, which is a pool, and chicks don't swim. So, I find them in the pool. I'm like, well, I'm sorry for that. But the ducks have to go somewhere to keep their eyes and feathers all done up, right? Okay. So you don't have to do all this stuff. I'm just telling you what I do. You don't have to do all of this. You could literally just get 1 chicken, which would be sad. Probably 2 is better. And let them drop out eggs. Let's see. I think Pam, Tom, Charity, all at the gym have chickens, and they do this. They just let the chickens drop eggs. And you literally, with 2 chickens, you'll have an egg every day for sure. Some days you'll have double eggs because they lay an egg almost every day. So it's about like 30 hours or 36 hours is if you did the math, would be the timing of it. But it's usually what it is they lay an egg like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then they skip leg day. So they skip Thursday and then they're back on track. So it's usually a full day they just skip. I don't know why. I don't know how it all works. It's amazing to me that an egg pops out and they have them loaded up there like a magazine and a machine gun. It's just, here they come every day. So if you had 2 birds with a maybe double doghouse size coop, no one would probably know and no one would probably care. Now you got to check your HOA and see if they would care. Sometimes when they say no, they'll say no chickens rather than no fowl. So if they say no chickens, you could probably do this with ducks. And ducks are very quiet, but keeping them in a coop probably isn't going to work very well. You're going to have to let them walk around. Once you start feeding a duck, they overeat and they'll never fly again. So their wings just become things that they use to run fast with. Think ninja hands, and they will not go away. You could also clip their wings to keep them from flying away, but I have found that to be unnecessary. All of my birds have stayed. They know there's food, there's shelter, and I give them pools. Now, I think I had a coyote attack, and I had 15 ducks at one time. I think they took off because they were young and they weren't, I guess I hadn't fattened them up so they couldn't fly, and the coyotes spurred them into flying, and I think they found the pond that's just over the way, and they're like, hey, weirdly, ducks take to water like ducks take to water. So I think they all went and lived there because I'm pretty sure I saw a couple of them. I had a couple with some distinct features, some color patterns, and I think I saw them in their pond, but whatever. So they're living that fun life. Okay, so you don't have to do all of this. You can just buy a plant, stick it in a pot, grow some tomatoes. You're on your way. If you want to go a bit more aggressive, maybe buy 2 pots. If you want to try a little bit more, hey, I will try a chicken. I do have chickens. If you want to buy a chicken for me, great. I can sell you one, I guess. I've never done that, but sure, I'll sell you one. Better would probably be just go on Facebook and get on one of the chicken groups for Cherokee County and see who's selling something which you like. So some people like the way chickens look and have a very particular style to them. Mine are mutts. They all just mate and make more, and I don't know what they are anymore. I'm sure they had a breed at one point, but now they're just a mixed breed of homogeny. Everybody's just everybody. So they will lay about one a day. You'll get good protein out of that. You'll know exactly what's going into your chickens. They will eat your scraps. So if you don't eat everything, you can literally just go out there and bring it to them. And if they don't want it, guess what? They won't eat it. Unlike people who know, like, we'll just eat everything, even if it's bad for us. They won't eat the things that they know they can't eat. So you could also just feed them on birdseed. Just go to Publix and pick up a bag of birdseed and give them that, and they'll just pick on those things, and that's fine. They can get by on a lot. Obviously, if you want eggs to be a higher quality, you should give them some protein or some quality food. But again, that's just making it hard. If you just want to have eggs pop out and be like, hey, I know what sourced it. If the chicken is eating the bad stuff, it's going to process it inside of itself more than likely, and then pop out an egg. Pop out an egg. That's probably good. Not all of the germs, bad things that they would eat transfer over. Some of that's just left into them and they process it out. So, but you'll know what your chicken is eating and you'll know what the egg is actually like. So if you have an egg allergy, a chicken egg allergy, you can eat duck eggs usually because they're weirdly not the same creature. And so you can get away with duck eggs and still be, enjoying that lovely egg. Okay, let me check my notes and see what else I want to go through. Yeah, it looks like I hit all the highlights. So again, my goal in all of this is giving you guys something to listen to help move you in laying a stronger foundation for your life. I like what Nick Lubber said. I just want to be harder to kill. And then I added easier to love. Not a question mark, for sure. So helping you be harder to kill. How would you be harder to kill? Exercise. Eat better stuff. How best to eat the better stuff? I mean, easy is don't eat it on a fast food. If it's got a drive-through, don't eat there. Shop on the edges of your grocery store. Grow something on your own. Take a chicken and eat its eggs. You know exactly what's coming from it. Guys, I am here to help. If you're here local in Woodstock, Georgia, come see us at CrossFit Garage. If you are not into sweating and you just want to know about chickens, go to my YouTube page. There's a lot of chicken stuff. Look for the chicken playlist. There's chickens, there's incubator, there's homestead and farm. You'll see different stuff. There's even farm dog. You can go see what our dog is up to. All sorts of stuff in there. But the idea is for you guys to be resilient and to have control in your own life. And one way to do that is to be educated. The next way to do that is to take a step. So if you're listening to this and you're already at CrossFit Garage, good on you. You're doing something. I've been doing this for 15 years at this point. What is it? It's June 2023. 15 years of CrossFit for me. And I don't go to the doctor. I am pretty healthy. And I just climbed the rope legless the other day at nearly 50. I mean, that's pretty solid, right? So the answer to your health and fitness is just show up, do something. If the thing you do all day, if the hardest thing you do all day is the things you do all day, then you're in trouble because most normal people don't do hard stuff. If you are a contractor and you're out lifting and moving and all that, then hey man, you're probably fine. You don't need to really do extra. What you need to do is to probably eat better stuff, right? And get better sleep. So if you're local, come to the gym. If you're local and you're not into the gym, just email me, call me, text me. If you go to CrossFitGarage.com, you're going to find my email. It's Andy McCann at CrossFitGarage.com. Weird, right? And my phone number is plastered all over that. You can give me a call or text. If you call me and I don't know who your number is, usually I don't pick up. If you text me, I will read it. I am best on email, though, especially if there's a to-do. I am a creature of the 80s and 90s. And so the interweb came out then with email in the 90s at Georgia Tech. And so we were using email for a long time. So I'm stuck in email, although I'm okay-ish on text. Okay, guys, if you need me, I'm there for you. I want to help you in that journey of health and fitness so you can become the hero of your own story.